My name is Roy Andine. I'll be your moderator for today's panel discussion entitled Luxury Tourism, Inclusive and Sustainable. So I'd like you to welcome, please, our esteemed panelists. Starting from my right is Latia Duncombe, Director General of Tourism at the Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation. Robert Sandy Sands, Senior Vice President of Bahamas and immediate past President of the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association. Joy Jibalou, Chief Executive Officer at the Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board, and Felipe McLean, the Founder and Chief Executive Officer at the Integra Group, which is the developer of Rosewood Exuma. So let's welcome them, please. So I'd like to start by putting our discussion into context. Our panel is about luxury tourism, and there are a lot of ways to define it. It is rooted in a lot of historical attributes. When we think about luxury, we think about things like price and the level of experience and quality. But if we think about the luxury component of tourism, we can think about the 5 C's: culture, cuisine, community, content, and customization. And I want to give you a statistic to really put this conversation into view. According to a 2024 McKinsey & Company report on the state of tourism and hospitality, demand for luxury tourism and hospitality is projected to grow from $239 billion in 2023 to $391 billion in 2028. That's a 10% growth rate, and that's faster than any other sector in the tourism industry. So this conversation is going to explore inclusivity and sustainability in luxury tourism for hotel properties and the Bahamas as a destination brand, and their ability to create long-term value for the Bahamas. So let's get started. My first question is for you, Director General, and for you, Joy. The largest share of luxury travelers still want to do the same kinds of things that other travelers do, even though these luxury travelers, they have a certain level of income and assets. 65% of those travelers want to go to sunny beach vacations, and 55% say they're looking for relaxing getaways. But the global luxury hotel supply is mostly focused on urban and city areas. Just 20% of those properties are located in beach locations. This is an opportunity for the Bahamas. Is it part of the Ministry of Tourism strategy and NPIPB strategy to promote the Bahamas as a destination for these luxury travelers?
Okay, well, good afternoon, and I'll start there. The Bahamas is a luxury destination when you look at our offering and what we service and what we provide to our visitors. We've received numerous awards over the years, our islands and also our properties. When we look at the opportunity from the luxury perspective, and when we look at the structure of the ministry at large, we're structured to ensure that our strategy is not only aligned to cater to the luxury market, but that we can also drill a little bit further and also look at the types of experiences that they want as well. And in the ministry, we've also realized that there are certain things that they enjoy: boating, fishing, diving, romance, yachting. And we have departments that have been set up also to cater to those needs. So as we look at the opportunity from a luxury perspective, there are certain words that come to mind. And like you've shared, personalization, sustainability, cultural inclusion, all of which we offer throughout the islands of the Bahamas.
Joy, any remarks on that?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here and with this esteemed group. As the DG said, the Bahamas is deemed, every sense of the word, a luxury destination. We cannot move away from that just by virtue of our price point across the board. Even what we would consider low-end property opportunity in the Bahamas puts us at a price point where people view us as that. But I want to speak specifically for Nassau and Paradise Island Promotion Board, and of course we have the added advantage, unlike the Bahamas generally, in that we can promote city tourism as well as, to answer your question, sun, sand, and sea. Interestingly enough, last year, at the beginning of last year, we did a lot of research and focus groups speaking to potential customers who either had traveled to the Bahamas and Nassau and Paradise Island, were interested in traveling here, or had never traveled here, and we wanted to find out why. And many of them, as we would imagine, said sun, sand, and sea, tropical getaway was what they were thinking of. But they all said, and these were the persons who had the capacity to visit the Bahamas. They could pay to stay, whether at Ocean Club, Rosewood, any of our high-end properties. They said they wanted more. They wanted value added. And out of that, we've morphed into new brand campaign. It's just that it ties into your question, that we are promoting Nassau and Paradise Island as the and more destination. So it's sun and sand and sea and your 5 Cs and culinary and culture and all of these authentic experiences. And we find that that is resonating because that's what people are searching for.
That is an excellent segue to the following question, which I would like for Felipe and for Sandy to answer. What are some of the ways that resort properties in the Bahamas can level up, to your point, on the sun, sand, and sea approach, encouraging past visitors to return because it's something that they're familiar with, that they like from the properties, and then enticing new ones to visit? So what type of experiences are going to be on offer that provide the and more, as Joy so aptly described in their campaign?
Well, good afternoon. Let me step back a bit, because resorts by themselves do not make for a luxury destination. And I think what is so important is that we must look through the eyes of the visitor. What are their expectations? What are they looking for in travel? What are some of the shortcomings of a particular destination? And I think it takes us back that we have to plan, put in place a holistic plan in terms of how we develop destinations holistically. Luxury resorts will not evolve by themselves. And so there is a real need for us to do a reset in how we think of tourism growth in the future. And that reset requires us to really look at some type of planning process. How do we see Abaco developing over the next 10 years? How do we see Eleuthera developing over the next 10 years? And what are the concerns and threats to the experience of the visitor? So we have to look at a whole lot of things: housing for staff, airports, services, transportation, electricity, etc. All of those different elements. And that can only be done by trying to put in place a master plan for future tourism growth. And I think that is what's lacking. We cannot have this knee-jerk approach, I think, going forward to tourism development. And I think once we put those in place, luxury will fall in place, sustainability will fall in place, and we will have a plan that really guides the direction of the Bahamas, and we will create the economic opportunities from that plan as well.
Okay, thank you. Any thoughts
Yes.
for that, Felipe?
Hello? Yeah. Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everybody. So our vision in Exuma and in Rosewood, for Rosewood Exuma, I think aligns into a bigger plan. I think that definitely there has to be a plan. Today, the global clientele is very competitive. The world is very competitive, and the global clientele and the luxury clientele has certain requirements, I would say. For example, they demand sustainability. They demand great service. They demand a standard. And that is one of the reasons that when we decided to partner up with Rosewood, we were getting all of that. We were getting a standard, a global standard. As you know, Rosewood has multiple awards and is one of the best brands in the world. But also, they demand from the owners certain standards as well and requirements that at the end make a difference. And aside of that, Rosewood is very focused in a sense of place, so respecting the local cultures. And that's something that we are not only proud about it, but the clientele demands it, and that's a way that you can really, I believe that that's the only way that you can really differentiate and succeed in today's world.
Thank you. Sandy, one of the points that you mentioned was the idea of a strategic plan and more holistic input in terms of developing the Bahamas as a luxury destination, or further developing the Bahamas as a luxury destination. And Felipe, you mentioned the idea of providing a superb level of service. Luxury travelers, wherever they go in the world, they travel all over the world and they stay at the best places and go to the most exclusive destinations. They demand a very high level of service. But talent retention in the industry as a whole is challenging. So when you think about a luxury resort or a luxury destination, not only are you training for a high level of service, but in particular at a resort with global brands, you have to train people to brand standards. And in a destination like the Bahamas, where we're known for warm hospitality, you also have to train for that. Can each of you speak to your plans for training and retention in your respective areas? Who would like to start?
Sure, I can start this time. So one of the things that we're most proud of is working with the community and the efforts that we're doing to have the best back of the house here in the Bahamas in terms of infrastructure and in terms of facilities for the employees. We believe that the only way to attract the best is by offering them the best. So on our island, we're really putting a big effort in giving, giving them the best infrastructure. We want to allow them to bring their families back, not only from mainland, but also from abroad. And of course, if you want to get the best, you have to compensate with a premium and also work with them and train them. I think that that's the only way that you can get the best labor. I think that is a mistake trying to have an ultra luxury resort and not giving the employees and the communities the right infrastructure for them to be with you and to be with you in the long term. We want to have, our employers in the long term, and we want to work with them and with their families.
Would anybody else like to weigh in?
Adding on to what he shared, for me, it starts at the foundation as well. So from a national perspective, there are a number of entities. There's the UB, the COM, there's the National Training Agency, BTVI, and with the Ministry of Tourism, we also have our industry training department. And we've had a very successful Bahama host program that's been in place for a number of years. And our Deputy Prime Minister would have shared that we are revamping and it's now going to be powered by artificial intelligence. And so thanks to Director Kirkland Pratt and his team, we're getting ready to roll out now a new learning management system where we have the traditional Bahama host that is used for certifications and recertifications, but now it's those ancillary programs as well, whether it's French or Spanish or those different courses. So the level of engagement now will increase. So from a foundational perspective, we're making sure that this option is available throughout all 16 of the islands. And then our properties, any additional trainings that they would like to add on to it can certainly be done. But it's now a foundation for all 16 islands, all properties in destination, from an entry level straight to a senior executive.
So I think the processes that we use today is the chicken and egg approach. I think we got to go back to basics. From secondary school and high school systems, we need magnet schools that train persons in tourism. We need a feeder system. We also need a tertiary institution, such as the University of the Bahamas and other areas, to dedicate very specific elements of their curriculum to tourism. 60% of our entire economy is tourism. And then we need to work to get the funding and the willpower to want to move these initiatives forward. If we do not do that, talent will always remain a problem in the country. And so we have to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more supportive, of some of our institutions, both our high schools and some of our middle schools, and certainly our tertiary institutions, to be a little bit more tactical and impactful in terms of tourism studies and hospitality and tourism curricular development type programs. And then the on-job training programs just add the icing to the cake or puts the jewel in the crown of the individuals. But to me, this is another opportunity for resetting our approach to tourism training. We cannot leave it for the end part of the career path. It has to start at an earlier stage so that people become interested in this particular concept of tourism and wanting to participate.
So I fully support what Sandy says. And as we tout ourselves not only as a luxury destination, notwithstanding what Sandy might have said in terms of having to reset, but as a tourism destination and a well-renowned tourism destination, service is key, and training and education is imperative if we're going to get to the level and the standard of service that is required for us and for the reputation that we hold. Now, Nassau and Paradise Island Promotion Board, obviously our focus from a training and education is somewhat different. We look at it through a different lens, notwithstanding the understanding for the need, the keen need for training across the board, education in tourism and hospitality. But from a sustainable point of view, we recognize innately the importance of having a trained workforce. It's why we are supporting, educating tourism professionals, and it's across the board. Oftentimes I find that when I listen to conversations, we're talking about tourism, workers at one end of the spectrum. Well, what about the other end of the spectrum? What about leadership and trained, skilled leaders? I look at those whose shoulders we stand upon. And Sandy, I'm going to call your name, and we look at Vincent Vanderpool Wallace and Yvonne Roberts and those sorts of names that are out there that everyone knows who have attained the highest level in this sector. And then look at the gap from them. Who's coming next? So we are looking to train future leaders in tourism, and we're putting our focus there, but speaking to the sustainability and the viability of this industry so that we can become the owners of this important industry.
I really love that answer. I mean, I think you're hitting a gap because there is, to your point, there is a gap between the people who have achieved very senior positions in the tourism industry and then what we think about when we think about hospitality work, and there is a gap in between setting up that pipeline, correct? And I want to just pivot on that word sustainability, because we can think about sustainability in terms of industry sustainability, but I want to go to kind of the catchphrase of sustainability from an environmental perspective, because that too is very important to luxury travelers. And a 2023 Deloitte report on the future of luxury travel indicates that sustainability is a top priority for these travelers. 74% of these travelers, of luxury travelers, said they are willing to pay more to travel responsibly, especially if it's clear about how the money will be used. So I want to put this to Sandy and to Felipe from a resort perspective. Luxury travelers want more than just the 5-star accommodations. They want the food, they want the unique experiences, to your point, Joy, but they want to balance out environmental stewardship with these types of experiences. What type of initiatives is Bahamar implementing? And I'd like to also know, for Rosewood Exuma, what are those types of initiatives that will appeal to these luxury travelers from a sustainability perspective?
Thank you, Royanne. Resorts on a beach are no longer chic. People are looking for experiential experiences. And certainly at Bahama, you may or may not be surprised to know we actually have a sustainability and conservation department, because sustainability of our sector is extremely important. And that department gets into things about conservation. We talk about conch in the Bahamas, but it's a dying product that's hardly available, or it's harvested young. We're involved in elements like that. The future of the flamingo and its habitat, and how we can continue to ensure their sustainability for years to come. The way in which we use water, electricity, biodegradable opportunities, the implementation of solar. All of these things will work for the future to ensure the sustainability of our industry, that we are still around 50, 100 years from today, being able to enjoy a lot of the various things that we enjoy today. So yes, at Bahama, we take this extremely important. We look at our coral reefs and the re-nurturing of those things, and our beaches, and the re-nourishing of a lot of our replacing sand from time to time. All of these elements are extremely important for the future success, sustainability, operation of not only a Bahama, but all hotels through the archipelago of the Bahamas.
And Felipe?
Yes. Well, with our project, we're doing many sustainability efforts. We're putting together a nursery. We're going to have a mangrove preservation. We are even taking it further with the design, with the materials we're using on our construction materials, the composite that we're going to use. So, as I said before, this is something that we don't just want to do, we have to do it for our clientele, and the clientele demands it. So we are also in a very unique position. By being in Exuma, we're in the jewel of the Caribbean. So basically, that puts us in a platform where companies want to work with us, companies want to innovate with us, and companies want to have even, use Exuma in our project as an example for the rest of the world. So on our project, we're taking it even further, and we're very proud of it.
Director General, there's a question for you in relation to the high demand for sustainability from luxury travelers. Is there a plan to incorporate, or is it already incorporated, to incorporate sustainability as a part of the destination brand?
We do, at the Ministry of Tourism, incorporate sustainability as a part of every single thing that we do. And Sandy shared a lot of the initiatives that they do. And many of the hotel properties are also involved in the green certifications. And our visitors, like you've rightly said, they want to visit destinations that focus on sustainability and also the future of the environment as well. And what we're also doing at the ministry through our Tourism Development Corporation, we're looking at implementing and having an accredited program that all properties across the length and breadth of the Bahamas can now participate in and also be accredited. So they too can be certified as we look at sustainability. Delving in a little bit further, we also have our Destination Stewardship Councils that's led through our sustainability unit at the ministry. And the focus there is public, private, and also communities. And we've won several awards with many of our islands as well. And each island determines what are the priorities for the island, what are some of the needs, how do we want to hone in and address these needs. And I'll give you an example for the island of Bimini. The focus was marine waste. And together we've collected more than 20,000 pounds of marine waste, which for us was exceptional. So when we think of it futuristically, when we look at the Bahamas now, sustainability is weaved into who we are as a people, because we do have to preserve and protect it for generations to come.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question to that in terms of the sustainability component and the destination brand. There's been a lot of discussion about carbon credits recently, and is the ability to provide carbon credits to companies or to people who are going to come to the Bahamas, is that intended to be a part of that, of the branding as well? and the messaging?
So the discussion on that is still ongoing. I think OPM is leading a lot of those discussions, doing it through BIA, airport infrastructure, the sustainability development goals. But long term, yes, I can see that once it's all finalized and rolled out. I'm certain it will be shared with everyone.
Okay, we look forward to that. So I want to turn now to the guest experience. We spoke a lot about sustainability, we spoke about training and retention, but the fact is that in the luxury tourism segment, this growth is really being driven by high net worth and very high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals, and they have certain preferences. So they want privacy, they want personalization, and they want end-to-end experiences that are frictionless. So from a resort perspective, I want to ask you this, Felipe. Rosewood Hotels and Resort is positioned as an ultra-luxury hotel brand. An ultra-luxury, just for your information, that category of luxury tourists are considered tourists that have $30 million or more in assets. So Rosewood is positioned as a resort brand for ultra-luxury tourists. How will the experience at Rosewood Exuma meet these kind of travel trends that high net worth, very high net worth, and ultra-luxury travelers are looking for?
I love this question because it excites me a lot. So basically, I think that the Bahamas and Exuma are positioned in a very unique way. Being 60 minutes away from South Florida is very unique. This type of individuals are looking for convenience, easy access, frictionless, right? So that puts our project in a very unique position. Second, they are looking for a standard. They are looking, they want to go somewhere that they're not going to have a bad surprise. And that's something also that having a brand as Rosewood helps you, because it's a recognized brand that globally. And they're looking for unique experiences. I mean, what better experiences you can have in Exuma? That's something that only creativity could stop it, right? I mean, we just, so that you know, we just, during our Basel, we came up as a firm by launching, our project in Miami. We came up with the idea of doing a floating paddle court. Okay, this floating paddle court went viral, and over 200 million people looked at it, and that was a unique experience for luxury travelers. So that created two things. That created the awareness of our project. Rosewood Exuma now is known for over 200 million people, and that also gave our clientele, our ultra high net worth individuals, a unique experience that they can only experience on that floating paddle court, to give you an example, which is meant to be here in Exuma. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to curate unique experiences for this type of individuals that, and definitely the platform that we have in Exuma to do these unique experiences is, couldn't be better, right? So you want to make sure that their experience is frictionless, that the standards are complied, and that they can have these unique experiences, and we're going to make sure that they do it.
And yes.
Can I just add to that? I think the key word for me is authenticity. And the luxury traveler wants authenticity. They want to experience the ethos of what the Bahamas has to offer. And so for us, that's why elements such as the cultural aspect, whether it's art, culinary, music, the experiential experiences with things that are typically Bahamian, that are indigenously Bahamian, made in the Bahamas, not made elsewhere, the types of food we eat, the uniforms sometimes that we display, the amenities that we give to our customers. The authenticity of all those creates the sense of place, which is a nice Rosewood phrase. I think it's so important. But that also extends beyond the confines of the resort. Eh? it also extends to that first welcome experience that he or she receives coming into the destination, and the drive in that typically effervescent taxi driver pulling up to the front door of a resort. All of those experiences help to enhance this whole, or create the expectation being exceeded for that luxury travel. I think that's so important.
I think that's a crucial point, because whenever we travel, whether it's a luxury travel or not, one of the things that we visit destinations for is, as I mentioned earlier, we want things that are familiar, but the authenticity in that experience or that service is one of the things that keeps the destination fresh. You cannot duplicate Bahamian art anyplace else. You can't duplicate the food anyplace else, but the food is evolving, the art is evolving, the people are evolving. And so that leads me to the next question, is what type of experiences or events can we look forward to happening and planned by your organization, Joy, and by the ministry in terms of luxury experiences that will attract people to visit the Bahamas or to return to have those experiences? Types of events, anything like that?
Just to reiterate what everyone has said, people are looking, travelers, all the market intelligence telling us they're looking for those authentic experiences. I want to give a stat.
Please do, I love stats.
And this one is mind-blowing. So the baby boomer generation, those born between 1946 to 1964, they are in the process of transferring. This is known as the Great Wealth Transfer Era, over $80 trillion through to 2045. So while their children might be a little bit more responsible, grandchildren, they can spend that money and they want to spend it on travel. So when we talk about, who's coming, the luxury traveler, the high net worth traveler, those are the people that we're targeting. And they want to go to a destination because they want to travel, but they want more than that. They want a unique story to tell about that destination. All their friends are traveling. So even if they go to the same place, what's that unique story? So those events and those authentic touch points and experiences are what's going to make a difference. I'm in a privileged position that I work with partners who put on extraordinary events. And these events are so elevated that they are drawing global attention. But we also have our own uniquely authentic events. We can't ignore the fact that we've just come out of the festive season, and Junkanoo is a key part of that. Nowhere else in the world is there a celebration such as that. We are now seeing Junkanoo celebrated in the summer throughout the islands. But how do we make that something that's year-round? Because this is something that will draw people. Once you experience it, it is something that's going to draw you back. But these are the type of authentic events. I don't want to talk about what the Ministry of Tourism is doing. They're doing a lot in the space, especially from the domestic perspective, but I will lean in to the culinary events that are being put on by our hotel partners. The art, the Bahamian art, the expression of that is extraordinary, and art is a good draw for people to travel. You've been involved with Art Basel, Fuse, Scope, etc. You know what that is. And to see what's taking place right here in the Bahamas, even at this property that we're on now, is great.
I think, if I can complement what you just said, I think the authentic experiences is very important, but you mentioned another word as well, which is evolving. We need to incentivize people for longer stays, right? We want quality, not quantity too much in the Exuma, but we also want them to stay longer. And for them to stay longer, you have to have that evolving experience. So if you go to one place and every time it's the same, that eventually that's going to get boring, right? But if you go and every time the experience is different, you're evolving, you're seeing different art. For example, in our project, art is very, very important. We're going to work with local artists. And we're going to make sure that the installations that are on our project are constantly evolving. So your experience each time you go, or periodically, we're going to change them to make sure that the clients always get that surprise or something new. And also, all of the infrastructure we're doing is to have them stay longer with us. We want them to feel home, because one of the reasons that people go back or stay not that long is because they get homesick, right? We want to give them the offering that they need so they can stay longer at their project, and that's better for Exuma and for the Bahamas.
Okay, so responding to you, I think it's important to also look at what's trending from a detour destination perspective. A lot of travelers want to visit a road that they've not traveled before. And the islands of the Bahamas is in such a unique position, because while some of us may know about Nassau Paradise Island, there's also Eleuthera, Andros, Abaco, Inagua, San Salvador. Joy touched on some of the festivals, and at the ministry, over a 3-month period during the summer months, we're home to more than 30 festivals across 13 different islands. So we're bringing festivals all year long. It's also our amazing people-to-people experience, and this year, we're in the 50th year. It's an absolute free experience for the visitor. Last year, we hosted cheerleaders from an NFL group, more than 60 to 70 persons. They came down, and we had each island featured. So they were able to taste the culture, the history, the heritage, the cuisine. They were able to experience Junkanoo, and it was such an amazing time. And as we look at sharing who we are as a people, like Sandy also mentioned, it's those authentic, culturally inclusive experiences that you can only find in the Bahamas.
I don't want to sound like this pessimist this morning, but we also have to be conscious of the fact that if we do not take care of the Bahamian tourism product, we will lose this opportunity to be a sustainable luxury destination. And we have so much opportunities that we have allowed to become stagnant that we need to revive them, and they will only but enhance the tourism product. I can think of 4 or 5 different things. Bay Street, which is the epicenter of our country, which should really be more vibrant, and attention should be paid to getting it back to its heyday. Attractions, things for people to do. Luxury visitors don't want to stay in the hotels all the time, but unfortunately they're forced to do so because we have not paid attention to multiple attractions that exist that just need some type of support. And then finally, we got to get all the end users to pay their fair share on the redevelopment or the development side, so that we can have an enhanced tourism product. All the burden cannot continue to be on hotels or major hotels in the Bahamas. It has to be on some of those other producers of tourism numbers to make their contribution to uplifting the entire destination, so that we can have a sustainable luxury tourism market going forward.
Thank you. So in our last few minutes, let's end on a positive note.
No, that was very positive.
I agree, and I want everyone to weigh in on that. This is positive because you actually led into the last question, and that is, I would like for you to tell our audience today, if you think about the ideal luxury tourism experience in the Bahamas in 2030, what does that look like? What does that look like? So let's start with you, Director General.
Well, I'll start with the completion of our downtown revitalization, because we've certainly been placing a lot of focus, a lot of energy, and a lot of attention to downtown. But like you said, picture this in 2030, a perfect blend of sustainability, a destination that focuses on personalization, cultural inclusion, and featuring very high-end eco accommodations. Looking at the component of artificial intelligence, using digitally enhanced initiatives to predict what the visitor wants, ensure that an itinerary is curated, and the visitor has an amazing experiences based on their preferences. So again, it's leveraging sustainability, leveraging technology, high-end accommodations, and delivering that authentic visitor experience.
I'm very happy to hear you mention technology as a part of that because it's playing an increasingly important role in the tourism sector.
So my vision for sustainability is that, having been involved in this industry for far too many years, I'd like to see the stopover cruise ratio 50-50. That way, I think we can create opportunities for Bahamian employment and economic growth for our country. I would like to see the restoration of things that are totally Bahamian that contribute to the enhancement of our tourism sector. And I would like to see a methodical development of family islands tourism to the extent that it takes some of the pressure off of New Providence Island, but also showcases the diversity of what the islands of the Bahamas have to offer. We will then have population shifts, and then we can have a harmonious economic growth for all the islands of the Bahamas.
Thank you. I think that speaks a lot to the inclusion component of this conversation as well, you know, making sure that there are opportunities for family island entrepreneurs.
It certainly does.
Yes,
and
and
at the
ownership.
ministry, for us, it's 16 self-sustaining, economically viable destinations.
Right. And you?
You know, Sandy actually put a figure. He said 50-50 between cruise tourism and land-based tourism. I'd look, from my point of view, I really would love to see where we focus on the quality of the tourist rather than the quantity, because that's where we get the socio-economic benefit. So I don't know what that number looks like, but as I said, we really have to know that we need quality tourists coming not just to Nassau and Paradise Island, the entire archipelago, for us all to be beneficiaries. Sustainability, we can't just be talking it. We can't just have some of our hotel resort partners and other stakeholders being participants. It has to be everybody. It has to be from policymakers who therefore would have to create the enabling legislation and policies that require all of us. That we can go downtown, that we have mentioned, is not in the state that it should be. And first of all, we don't have enough receptacles for garbage, but that they're not even suitable for recycling. You know, that's something that's not considered, but these are things that should just be automatic. So we want to see sustainability across our country, and automatically then we would see it in the hotels. I do want to see I would love to see authenticity and that sense of place, as Sandy called it, but I'm going to borrow that term, in every touch point that a tourist hits, from the arrival at the airport. I loved when I saw the AI guy when he put up the band playing in the airport, and just from there, as soon as they arrive in the Bahamas and they get in a taxi, they get to their resort, they do an excursion, they know where they are, that they are in the Bahamas. And finally, want to see a more seamless and a better relationship between local producers, the community, and our tourist-based organizations, so that everybody benefits from this incredible industry.
Well said. And Felipe, final word.
I'm already excited. So yeah, I think that 2030 looks really, really good, especially in the Exuma. By 2030, Rosewood Exuma is going to be under operation for 2 years. So that would be great, and will be great. I see restoration of the Stanley Airport and hopefully the expansion of the Black Point Airport already happening. I think that's very important, and that would be great for the region. I see by 2030 our second project being completed as well, and always with the belief and understanding that you just said, that it's more important quality than quantity, especially in the Exuma. And also I see an Exuma where I believe that the beauty is island hopping is out there on the attractions. It's not on the islands. Yes, the islands are beautiful, but the beauty is out there. The beauty is in the community. The beauty is entertaining with the Black community, with the Staniel, doing different attractions. We are already working in restoring some of the attractions, in creating new attractions while we are restoring current attractions. So I'm very excited about the future of Bahamas. I think that the government is doing an excellent job. It's elevating the brand. You see the best brands in the world coming now to Bahamas, and we need to work we need to work to make sure that as the brands come, you know, also the talent is improving, the training is improving. And for that, I think it's a job that we all need to do, and we're willing to do, and we're proud. I want to end it to say that we're very proud and happy to be here in Bahamas, and look forward to that 2030, and very excited.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I want to thank our panelists here for their valuable insights today. I think we all learned a lot today, and thank you very much for your attention.